while I'm sure that everybody does this, it seems to be far more common with neurodivergent folk, that's our ADHD and autism folk, that have way more stories to things that they do that seem very practical and sensible at the time, but then afterwards you're like, why do? So here's mine for today. I was watering my plants. I have a lot of plants. I have plants over there. I have plants over there. I have plants up there. And then I have all these lovely plants, and that one's not doing super great. I need to get in there and trim it up. I might have forgot to water it for like a month, and it didn't like that. So anyway, I was up on a stepladder over here. I had a stepladder because I can't get to the tall boys up there because that's like 9.5 feet in the air. I have 10-foot ceilings in my office. And I was watering that one, and I moved the step stool over, and I watered those guys, and then I moved the step stool over, and I was watering those. Well, those guys way up there in the corner, and I overspilled. I spilled the watering can trying to get into that one up there because the watering can wasn't the right shape to be able to not run against the ceiling, and it spilled. It spilled onto the shelf, up there on the shelf, which caused a cascade effect of shelf to shelf to shelf to shelf to shelf to shelf to floor. And I don't want the water to get to the floor. And of course, I'm standing with 1 foot on the stepladder and 1 foot on the shelf because safety third. And the waters are at support, and all I could think to do, friends, all I could think to do was to move my foot so that the water would pour into my shoe. That shoe, that canvas-covered shoe, that is now also full of wet sock. I am only halfway through my clinic day, and now I have 1 dry shoe and 1 wet shoe. And now the problem sits in my head, do I make the other shoe wet so at least they're even? Do I take my socks off because I don't feel like that's going to be a fun thing? Or do I just like suffer through the rest of the day with like 1 wet shoe and 1 dry shoe because that's... Why am I like this?